Yo. Welcome to another weekly Confessions of a Priest. Hope y'all like the crisp new camera we got going on for us. That's a nice little bit of a change. If you're new here, I like to do a little podcast, give my 2 cents on everything. Not that it matters to anybody, but, it's something to do with all this coronavirus restrictions bullshit's going on. It's something to do. So, here I am. Just a quick overview. These are some things I wanted to lay out real quick because I haven't done them in previous episodes. Just a quick overview of the podcast. This is, we all take after Granddaddy Joe Rogan. I'd love this podcast to be a place where, we have fun, satirical fun. I'm a satirical person. But, and talk about real issues and real life experiences and so on and so forth. So, that's going to be the antithesis. As far as the future of the channel goes, like I'm working on a lot of things. Like we're gonna get some game streaming capabilities. We're gonna start covering gaming more. As far as when it comes to news and stuff going on in the world, as far as like what you see on the news, we will be talking about. And I'll be giving an objective analysis of the news, trying to look at what the facts are on the stories and such, and like actually give an objective, because our news media is trash. The integrity of media is just out the window right now because they're all so emotional. Nothing is objective anymore. It's all subjective. It's all about how they feel about things, and that's not news. That's opinions. You know what I mean? That's why there are op-eds in every major newspaper. It's someone giving their opinion, and that's basically what our major news outlets turned into, including Fox News. So, I just wanted to put that out there. We'll also be talking about music and entertainment. Music and art are two big things in my life, a couple of things that keep me going. And so I always want to make sure that I talk about that. Of course, comedy. I have a lot of friends. Like, I owe the start of my podcast to Yellow City Podcast, or Yellow City Comedy. And that's where I got my start in podcasting. I started off by helping those dudes with production. I had a soundboard, so we put everything together, and it turned into a pretty successful podcast from what I hear. So that's kudos to them for pulling that off. I'm really glad that's working out for you guys, and I hope y'all continue to do well in the future. And then, of course, like intellectual conversations. I'm one of those people that I'm a sapiosexual. I find people with intellect very sexy. Not to say I'm into dudes or anything. Let's make that clear. But I think anybody that is intelligent is beautiful. And the world needs more intelligent people instead of all these supermodels and shit. We'll get into that later, you know what I mean? But we're gonna start with the news. I don't really watch the news. I just keep seeing bits and pieces on YouTube. That's where I digest a lot of my media. I follow all the major news outlets: Fox News, NBC, ABC, MSNBC, and I watch them. And one thing that didn't get talked about really this week was the Middle East peace deal. And I don't have my drink in here. I'm about to get caught mouth like a motherfucker. But anyways, the Middle East peace deal. In case you didn't know, the UAE, Bahrain, and Israel decided they were going to normalize relations. And what that means is they're going to start normalizing trade and allow those people from those countries to travel to those countries. You know what I mean? Israelis going to Bahrain, blah, 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 blah. And you hear, it's a lot of people say, oh, well, those countries were never warring, blah, 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 blah. It's not that, you know what I mean? Like, just look at the past, bro. The Jews almost died. Israel is the only thing they have, bro. It's the only thing they have. So we have to recognize that. You know what I mean? Everybody has always taken everything from these people, and it's not like it's going on today, but it kind of is. You know, I feel for the Palestinians in some ways, but you know what I mean? Like, part of their charter is just to kill Israelis. It's crazy. So I can't condone that. You know what I mean? And I have Jewish friends, so I'm all for it, and we can argue about it later. Y'all can leave comments, tell me how you feel about it or whatever, but I'm just pointing out the obvious, you know what I mean? But these countries are about to start normalizing relations, trade. They're going to start sharing intelligence, which is very important, especially for Israel being the most hated country in the area. Another thing that the U.S. is doing is we're going to be sending those countries weapons because of the threat that is Iran. Like, Iran is a terrible threat. Like, they're just, it's cool to be a nonconformist, but when you're still, you know, like when everybody loves Barack Obama, and a lot of people thought that the Iranian deal was a good idea. I don't think it was. But, you know what I mean? We gave them $150 billion, and the day after that shit happened, they were still in the streets screaming, "Death to America." So, the fuck, bro? I'm just saying that it really is historic, and you can look at it however you want, but I thought it was really important that we touch on that subject because it shows us that, you know what I mean, we went from 20,000 troops in Afghanistan to 3,000. We're going from 15,000 troops in Iraq to 3,000. We're going to stop guarding the poppy fields, you know what I mean? Like, that shit's crazy to me. I've had homies that went and served overseas and basically were guarding Afghanistan's cash crop, which is heroin. So, I mean, that's crazy bullshit, and it's about time we end these endless wars. And I really think that that's important too. And I think this is a step towards that. You know what I mean? It's giving them more control over their area, what they're doing. Like this, we're about to do this, but you know what I mean, it gives them the responsibility of taking care of their own areas, being friends with their neighbors. Like, it's cool to I have beef with some of my neighbors, but we don't ever throw hands. I'd probably shoot somebody, but you know what I mean, we just keep it kosher. I don't even talk to nobody, so I'm not even worried about it. But you know, I think that's a good thing to look at. I really think that's a promising thing moving forward. Now, we know all of these countries, especially, and it has nothing to do with Palestine, but I have the feeling that we're going to see some more rockets flying into Israel, and this, that, and the other. Doesn't fucking matter, you know what I mean? Like, we're making baby steps towards that direction. That's a good thing. Another thing that happened this week, something that Look, everybody, hopefully everybody's seen the video. It's got like fucking 7,000 views on YouTube of the cops beating the shit out of me while I had a low blood sugar coma. I was completely out of it. I couldn't defend myself, and it wasn't, the only reason why I was non-compliant is because I was basically at that point unconscious. My cognitive abilities were not there. And I got an ass whooping from the cops, and I don't hold that against them, man. Like, I hold it against the cops that did it to me, of course. Yeah, like, fuck them motherfuckers. But cops in general have a job to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people don't, you know, like, we've probably all had especially with the people I know, we've all probably had the cops caught on us once or twice. I got a rap sheet. It's all misdemeanors and nonviolent crimes, though, but I got a rap sheet, bro. It's there. But, I mean, most cops are just doing their job, bro. And, you know what I mean, we need people to enforce the laws, because otherwise, you know what I mean, if you had, like, something like militias enforcing the laws, we have opinions, you know what I mean, and it takes out the judges and the court of law and whatnot. It's just, I think it's a necessary pillar of our community, and that's coming from somebody who's an anarcho-libertarian who believes, like, we should basically have a fundamental government that's only there to maintain the rights that we have, period. You know what I mean? Like, all these policies, exchanges, like, of course we're going to need to deal with those things, but I really feel like They're just not doing their jobs right now. But these two cops in LA, one of them was a 29-year-old woman, mother of one, and her partner was a 25-year-old white guy. And they were just chilling in their car. Some goon ran up on them, shot them. Both of them survived. Both of them facing critical injuries. I heard one of them got out today. Shout out to you, man. I'm praying for you. But it's just crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I have a reason not to like cops. But it's not that I don't like cops. It's that I don't like the cops that fucked me up. That's where I'm at with that. You know what I mean? They're here to protect us. You know, when your house gets robbed, I don't know. I would probably call my homie if I was home. My homie's already keeping outlook on my house, so it's like, you know what I mean? If I was home and I didn't have a way to defend myself, which I do, several, but I would probably call my homie from down the street if I was getting robbed right then and there. But otherwise, you know what I mean? Like, if I lived in a city where I didn't know anybody, best believe if I got into some kind of trouble, I would be calling the police. And a lot of people do call the police, you know what I mean? You got your brother fighting with your mom. He's putting hands on her. What are you going to do, bro? What are you going to do? You call the cops. That shit happens all the motherfucking time. That's what happened in New York with that one dude. Everybody's protesting his death. That motherfucker came out the door with a knife and chased the cop. What did you expect them to do? But that's just my thought on that. And then we go to the protest, man. There was protests outside of the hospital that those cops were sent to. They were out there screaming, "We hope you die." Tight. You're a dick. That's what I feel about it. But, you know, you have your right to go out there and say whatever the fuck you want. Just like I have every right to call you a fucking fascist prick, dude. Fuck you. And not only that, but they were blocking the emergency entrance. So other ambulances had issues getting into the hospital. What the fuck are y'all doing? What the fuck are y'all doing? You ain't hurting nobody else but other people in the community. The cops were already there being treated. So why the fuck would you go block the entrance, bro? You're dumb. That's dumb. And here's the thing about, like, all these protests and riots and things. This is the way I look at it. You know what I mean? Like, Martin Luther King always was very organized in what he was doing. You know what I mean? And he knew most of the people that he was marching with. And even when they marched on Washington, he made it abundantly clear that we are God's children. We will turn the other cheek if we are spit on, hit, blah, blah, blah. He told people that. You know what I mean? He warned them that things like this could happen. But just hang your head and be resilient. Because through our, you know, everybody's saying, "Oh, your silence is just as bad as the violence." No, not really. You know what I mean? If I'm standing with you in silence, it's because I'm trying to make myself more powerful. Somebody who's not always speaking their mind always has the upper hand on somebody who's always running their mouth. Period. That's just life, bro. But these people that are organizing these protests, they're not making sure that the people that they're rolling with are actually have a set of rules that they know that they should be abiding by, or that, you know what I mean, the leaders of these protests will make sure that you are escorted out of the protest. That's how I deal with that situation. And rioters, fuck you, bro. Fuck anybody that's got a riot shit, bro. Get the fuck out of here, bro. You should never use tragedy to enrich yourself, you know. And a lot of this shit, they burned down a whole bunch of small businesses, bro. A whole bunch of them. That was people's dreams, people's livelihoods. Every last dollar that they had went into those businesses that they opened. And it wasn't just in Wisconsin, although that was like one of the most recent ones that happened. But that's just wild, bro. That if you take, you know what I mean? Like, some of y'all have never heard of crazy ass countries where it's like if you get caught stealing, they cut your hands off and shit. I'm not saying that's what we should do in America, But we should instill fear in these people, and that's why they're mad that they're getting arrested. It's crazy. It's crazy. And speaking of crazy ass shit, I haven't seen the movie. I don't know if y'all have seen the movie, but apparently there's this movie called Cuties on Netflix. What the fuck is that shit? I haven't been playing Netflix in a while, and I'm kind of sad about it because I don't get all the stand up. But there wasn't like a whole lot of shit on Netflix for me, so I just rolled with Hulu. You know what I mean? I had to make decisions for my economic position, and Netflix had to go. Hulu had my better content. But apparently they put this movie out called Cuties. And I don't know nothing about it. I just saw articles and I saw a couple YouTube videos on it, and I was just like, what the fuck? Bro, what the fuck? 11-year-olds, like, I never understood the trend of, like, you know what I mean, like, young children, like the beauty pageants for the little girls and shit. Like, I never understood people's obsession with that shit. I get that it's a thing. But I mean, what's sad is a lot of those kids end up getting forced into modeling and not being able to be who they really want to be. So they deal with issues, they deal with disorders, body dysmorphia, so on and so forth, and it just fucks them up. I know a couple people, and it's really just disgusting to me. But then I find this shit out. There's a fucking 10, 11, and 12-year-old girls twerking, and I'm not gonna watch the movie, don't give a fuck, but, like, what the fuck is that shit? It's inappropriate. Like, they're 10 and 11, 12, bro. Anybody that's like, oh, that's art. No, that's not art, bro. That could be your daughter. And unless you're some kind of freak, you don't want your kid dancing like that. From what I've heard, some of this shit is, like, super raunchy. Like, one of them lifts up their top. I don't fucking know. I haven't seen the movie. I could be wrong. But these are just, like, reviews and shit that I read. I was, like, terrified of this shit. I have an 11-year-old daughter, and if any of this shit ever, like, if she ever did any of this shit, I don't know what I'd do, bro. I really don't know what I would do. I would lose my shit. And yeah, so fuck that shit. I mean, I don't know what Netflix was thinking. It just goes to show you that, like, pedophilia remains supreme. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't know who thought this would be okay. I know the director was a woman, but I don't know who she was. Like, you can't tell me that you made that movie thinking that you weren't targeting an audience or thinking about an audience that could target your movie. The fuck out of here. That's just asinine to me. Fucking asinine. And then sports, bro. Sports is back. I didn't watch anything, but I did hear that the Skins won their game and that everybody else in the division, including the Cowboys, lost their games. Oh, I said the Skins. My bad. I'll probably get this video deleted because of that shit. But the Washington football team is number 1 right now. So there's that. I didn't watch any of the games. I saw that Tom Brady lost. The Cowboys lost. And then my team won. So that was really all I heard about that. And then, of course, like, now we're down to the conference finals. We got the Lakers versus the Nuggets, which is going to be interesting. And the Celtics versus the Heat. The Celtics are my boy, but Jimmy Butler has been on fire. I really don't know. Oh, yeah, and speaking of all this sports shit, I'm actually going to have a homie that's going to be helping me cover this sports shit. I'm going to give him a little segment on the show to go over our sports every week. And I think that's going to be fun. That'll be a fun little add-on to the show. And we'll have fun with that. Because he's a big Cowboys fan. Like, my roommate's a fucking Broncos fan. This shit's going to get wild, bro. There's going to be some wild shit going on. But yeah, like, we got all this shit going on. It's going to be real fun. I'm good on that joint anyways. But then, yeah. me bringing up LeBron James, like, I think the dude's an excellent basketball player, and I'm thinking about this whole bubble and everything that's gone on in the bubble. Like, I understand these guys are trying to use their platform. I totally get that, but I think, and but the way they did it was just so selfish. You know what I mean? And I think this injection of like politics into our, like, we're trying to watch basketball games and football games to escape from all the bullshit that's going on. And to me, like, that's why I haven't been watching this much this season. I don't want to fucking, like, I get it. Like, I agree with the sentiment that Black Lives Matter, and like, I want justice for, like, I think Derek Chauvin, the dude that kneeled on George Floyd's neck, needs time in prison, like, at the very least, like 10, 15 years, at the very least. Because we know about all the facts about that now, and you can agree or disagree, but I know, I've read a lot, and I know the fact, like, he had some underlying issues, but either way, like, in 8 minutes and 46 seconds, a knee in the neck, I had a knee in my neck for at least 2 minutes, and it was like a 400-pound dude, and my neck and back are fucked up. Ain't shit I can do about it. They ain't helping me pay the bill, so fuck them. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's dumb. But, like, I agree with these things, but I don't want to see them in my sports. And then, hearing LeBron James say, oh, like, I'm scared as a black man to live in America. Honestly, bro, I grew up poor. I grew up in a majority white white people were not the majority, bro. White people were not the majority. And I was bullied as a kid, but it was never because I was white. We were all poor, so we didn't really fuck with each other about being poor. It was more just because I was a fat kid, bro. I got picked on a lot because I was fat. But we was all poor, and we grew up poor. Most of us grew up poor. I went to school with Ziggy Hood, man. That shit was cool. He graduated from Paladero High School. That was the same high school I attended, and that was cool. I had met him before he became a football star. That's cool. But you know what I mean? I went to Paladero High School. White people were definitely not the majority at my school. Yeah, I mean, it could have been close, but I honestly, I hung out with more black folks and Asian kids. Like, I've always been I'm still a big fan of anime and shit like that. So I hung out with Asian kids. I played JRPGs. I've always kind of been a nerd, so that's just how I roll. But you know what I mean? Like, LeBron James has a fucking house on the hills with private security. He's at the bubble right now. They definitely got private security, and they watching them fools, making sure they don't go anywhere. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm never gonna have private security. I got my neighbors. That's who watch out for me, and that's just because we're cool. We chill like that. But I think, you know what I mean? Like, I can respect a guy for speaking his mind and saying what he has to say. But I think what he's saying actually stokes more shit than solves anything. Like, he could definitely speak about things in a different way. And that's why I've kind of, like, you know what I mean? I'm relying on Instagram and clips on YouTube to see games and see some shit. So, and I don't even watch whole games because I don't want to watch. You know what I mean? That I only want to watch basketball. I don't want to see the before and after. Don't want to see it. If that's all it's going to be, is just people like saying this is the worst country in the world. This is the best country in the world for everybody, bro. For everybody. If you think it's not, then go to a different country and see how, you know what I mean? Like, you can go to places that you would think it would be nice, and they still have, you know what I mean? There are still places in like Scandinavian cities and shit where they don't like people of color, or even like, you know what I mean? Because they're a specific type. They're like blonde haired, blue eyed, you know, or brunette. You know what I mean? They're just, those people are beautiful, but they're white. You know what I mean? So it's weird for them to see, but usually they just think you're the press. That's just what I hear though, but I digress. You know what I mean? It's just, it's craziness. And then of course, with all the other bullshit, we got more corona shit. Are y'all ready for this shit to go back to normal? Cause I'm legit over it. I am fucking legit over it. Like, I'm a diabetic, so the percentage might be a little bit higher, but the CDC says the death rate is like 0.7%. I'll take those fucking chances. I don't give a fuck. Let's go back to normal. You know what I mean? If you're worried about getting it, stay home. But this is America. We're free to do what we do. So you're free to stay home with your mask on and shit. I should be free to go out. And you know what? If I get it, you can laugh at me, dog. But I'm ready to get back to work. I'm ready to get back to living a normal life. This is garbage. We live in America. This is not a third world country. This is a democracy. You know what I mean? And I think a majority of people would say, hey, it's time to fucking open shit up. So let's just do it. God damn, I need a soda, but I'm going to keep going anyway. So on to our next topic, we're going to go into some gaming news. You might have seen recently that Xbox released a trailer for the Xbox Series S, the little brother to the Series X, and it's a nice machine. It's just not that way. I was disappointed that it doesn't run, but I get it. Let's talk about the pros first. It runs at 1440p, which is ultra high def, and it's capable of upscaling to 4K, which is nice. And I mean, Xbox Game Pass, it's got a lot of good things going for it. Xbox is going all out. You're also going to have access to EA, so you probably won't be having to pay for a lot of the EA titles and stuff. And that could mean the Mass Effect trilogy remaster they're supposed to be doing. That's just what I heard. But that's pretty legit. And you know, when we're talking about ray tracing, all that good stuff, I want the Series X just because I want the basically powerhouse of the system group right now, because it beats out the PS5. But the PS5 is still a beautiful machine. We found that out this week as well. Let's talk about prices real quick. They're going to be coming in. It's the same price, $499.99 for the Series X and then PS5 with the disc tray. You know, I always want a physical copy of a game, but I do have a huge digital collection too. It's not that bad. But then the PS5 digital is going to be $399. So there's that. And they have exciting games. They have super exciting games. Like, it's rough. I'm still going to get an Xbox Series X, but it's rough because Miles Morales looks great. They have a lot of good looking games coming for PS5, for sure. But then you have the Series S, which is not going to be running. It's basically the way Xbox has approached this is that all games are going to be on all systems, from the Series S, the original Series S, the Xbox One Series S, the Xbox One X. Those two consoles will be running games, which will be the same games available that will be kind of upscaled to the specs of the new Series S, and then you can get the optimized for One X, which is just beautiful, native 4K, all that good stuff. It's going to be exciting. Yeah, I'm super excited about it. Lots of good games coming to both systems. We'll see how it goes. I think PS5 will probably still be in charge. But let's talk about the Big Daddy, bro. I'm not a PC gamer, but I got a couple homies that are PC gamers. And I can't talk about new consoles without talking about NVIDIA's new flagship, the 3080 graphics card. It's I couldn't find like all the teraflop numbers, and that's hard to talk about anyways, because like when you talk about consoles, like Xbox is like, we got 12, and PS5 is like, that's cool, we at least got 10, and then like fucking Nvidia is like, oh yeah, well we got 44 for shaders alone, and then we've got this many teraflops for this, and this many teraflops for this. It's like they just had teraflops on teraflops. It was ridiculous. But the one stat that I did find that was pretty legit was that it's 57% faster and 160% more powerful than the 2080 on average for most games. It was different for some games, but that's still an interesting statistic. And something else it's not interesting. I knew it was going to happen. Valorant's dying. Apparently, like pretty close to 90% of the first players that were playing that game are gone already. And I never played it. I never saw any interest in playing it, but I just thought it would be interesting to cover. Some of you nerds are going to know what's up. But, yeah, Valorant, I'm pretty sure Valorant's just dead, bro. Good for them, you know what I mean? And then another thing that's killing itself is Twitch. I watched a few streams. I kind of watched it for other things, but it's dying. Their community board is ridiculous, and you know what I mean? It all started with Dr. Disrespect. That was a stupid move, and they continue to make stupid move and not be supportive of their creators. So I mean, I'm betting that they're going to be fucking out of there in no time. For real. They got to be on soon. Yeah. So, but let's talk about some hot shit though. Let's move on to the next topic, which is music. I mean, I've been jamming a lot. It's just been rough, you know what I mean? Like, all I have is music. I'm putting in applications. I'm having to wait on emails. I hate this shit, bro. I love being able to demand to talk to a manager, but like literally you go to turn in a paper application and they're like, oh, well, we have the same application online, and it's been rough, bro. But I'm working on it. I'm still Ubering. But I'm like, I'll take my time. I drive when I want. So, fuck them. But, yeah. But music, though. Marco Polo's got a new album out. Marco Polo. I say Marco Polo like he's the main one. He's a producer that recently hooked up with the late... I can't say late. He ain't passed away. He's an older cat. He goes by the name of Master Ace, and he does some baller ass shit. He's from Brooklyn. He's always held it down. He's always put out some really, really good jams. Some of y'all game heads might remember Let's Take a Walk. Let's take a walk. Let's take a walk. Let's take a walk. Let's take a walk in Brownsville. Come on. Yeah, that was a jam. But he's got this new album out. It's pretty fucking fire. I was trying to think of some other shit that I was really jamming too. Cocoa Bitter Kisses. It's because I've been smoking a lot of weed lately, and I'm like, fuck, I can't be hanging out with my moms like this. Fucking stink. Yeah. Well, shit. This was a lot shorter because I recorded this before, and I went on for about like 45 minutes. I managed to do all this shit in 30 minutes this time, so y'all motherfuckers are lucky. But I mean, Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about. I'm I'm debating on how this is gonna go, and I kind of need feedback. So those of you that watch it this far, at least leave me a comment and tell me, like, should we do a series or should we just do one episode of the reality of truth? I've been writing a lot about how culture has kind of changed things, and we've gotten to this culture to where everybody has their own truth. So there is no like solid truth anymore, and it has to, you know what I mean? Like, I've already I'm going to go over the definitions of truth and also of perspective so that we can kind of lay out what the differences are and kind of like figure out what the truth of some of these matters are, and it doesn't have to be